Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
how are you? Thank you so much for attending tonight. We are so excited to do our
Yes.
first webinar together.
We certainly are.
And I'm Lisa Baxter. I'm with Remax Escarpment and the Court Baxter team. I work together with my parents, Terry and Debbie Court. And we've partnered up with Nicole Reynolds, and she has put a lot of time into this presentation, and I'm excited to share all this information with you guys. So there you go.
Yep.
You ready?
Yes, I am. Thank you guys for attending. Really appreciate it. And we hope you find the presentation useful. I'm just going to jump in. Hopefully everybody can see the screen.
Use this side.
Okay, the first time homebuyer presentation is presented by Lisa and myself.
Other side.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay. We're gonna have a lot of fun tonight.
Exactly. So congratulations for thinking that buying a home is the most important investment that you're going to make. And coming here and educating yourself on the process is really exciting, and you should be congratulated for that. It's likely the biggest investment you're going to make.
It is. You know what? It's funny. My husband and I, we have rental properties now as well. But I remember the first time we bought our first home and we walked out and I was all excited. And Dan said to me, he's like, I said, so are you excited? How do you feel? And he says, I feel like I'm going to puke. And so anyways, but you know what, now when, we decide to buy a property or we've sold a property or things like that, now it's easy. I just tell Dan where to sign and he's, it just gets easier, right?
Yeah. But nothing compares to owning and buying your first house.
For sure.
Nothing compares.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Here we are again. That's me. And there's Lisa. And we'll just get past that. So we want to jump right in and talk about the current environment, some mortgage and real estate stats for you. So some current mortgage statistics, the percentage of people who search for mortgage related information online is 72%. I myself look at everything online, and I completely understand why people would go online and look for things like rates or first-time homebuyer programs, etc. And that's all fine and good. Getting a mortgage online and searching for information online are two different things. So 72%.
100%.
And percentage of first-time home buyers who use their current financial institution is really, really high at 65%. And that's basically because people don't know that there's other options out there. And this is why we're here in this presentation.
Well, and I think it's actually, people don't realize that, what you're looking for in a mortgage agent is someone that's going to be creative. Because if you don't fit into that lender's box, then you either don't qualify or you qualify for less. So it's like having a crafty writer, and you need somebody that's going to paint that picture to best sell your situation to that lender. And I learned that a long time ago when Dan and I first bought our first home. And it was actually, I've learned a lot over the past 10 years. And now I really do love working with, mortgage agents that really know how to paint that picture.
Exactly. It's sort of story-based lending as opposed to, do you meet the criteria? No or yes.
Yeah, 100%.
And then, another stat is buyers who had concerns or felt uncertainty during the home buying process. And that's very normal, but it doesn't need to be that way. So,
yeah.
Another really important statistic is the wealth gap between renters and homeowners. So if you can see the wealth disparity between 2005 renters and homeowners and 2019 renters and homeowners, it's a huge, huge disparity between the two. So if you ever had any reservations about buying a home or confusion about it, or I'll just stay where I am and put the extra money that I would be putting towards a mortgage towards something else, it never really ends up that way. There's nothing that's going to give you the kind of wealth creation that owning a home will.
So can you speak to these numbers here, like the renters versus homeowners?
Yeah. So basically, this is a poll of renters, and this is exactly what their net worth was in 2005. So the CMHC Statistics Canada did surveys in 2005, and renters basically had a net worth of 46,000, while homeowners had a net worth of 545,000. And basically, your net worth is taking your liabilities and your assets and minusing them, getting exactly what you're worth as an individual. And homeowners by far had the greatest net worth of anybody. So, and that's even more apparent in 2019 as homes continue to rise. So nothing is going to give you the same sort of wealth that owning a home does. It's a stable investment. It goes up year after year, and it creates generational wealth. It creates fluidity in opportunities that don't exist if you rent.
Well, and I think, being younger and, not everyone always thinks about, okay, in 20 years or 30 years, I eventually would like to retire. And let's put it this way, most companies don't give out pensions or anything like that. And we don't even know if CPP and old age security or any of that stuff is going to be around. So these are great nest eggs. Like investing in real estate can cost you very little in the beginning, but create such great wealth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. And the sooner that you buy real estate, the more that you're paying off your principal and your interest and acquiring that equity, and your net worth is increasing. And then you could possibly use that equity to take out, buy another property, put more into investments. There's just options that you don't have. You're also in control of the process versus renters who are not in control of the process at all. Their landlord is in control of whether they're selling, what they're doing to the property, and you have no choice but to just follow along.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand it over to Lisa, who's going to talk about some of the real estate
stuff.
So
I love these graphs, and actually Nicole put these together. We kind of collaborated on this. I gave her what the average cost was. So this one here is for condo townhomes. Okay, so back in January 2022, at the peak of our market, condo townhouses were going for $941,000 and change. And basically, so a condo town would go for that, but then you would also have like a condo fee of say anywhere from 200 to say 500 condo fee per month. Now we fast forward to 2023, 1 year later. So basically what happened was interest rates started going up in the middle of March. We saw significant drops from March all the way down to June, July. Still, interest rates were going up. July, it sort of leveled off a little bit. They did another big hike in September. We saw another big drop in housing prices. And then October, there was an interest rate hike, November, December, and now just recently one too.
in January,
right?
yeah.
But what's nice that we've seen basically from, I would say, November straight through till today, we're not seeing prices go back down. We're starting to see prices go back up a little bit because there's consumer confidence. So January 2023, condo townhomes are now on average, they price around $797 and change. The big thing about this chart is if you look at the down payment difference. So down payments were higher in January. You're basically, if you're buying in today's market, you're saving yourself $28,771. And the monthly difference in the mortgage payment is $316. So you're paying just slightly more now than you would be back in January 2022. So we did this for condo towns. We also did it for these are freehold towns. So freehold towns were going for $1,173,000, and now they're going for $939 on average. Your savings on your down payment is $46,812, which is great. And monthly difference, you are paying a little less right now for whatever reason.
Well, that's because, we're using the comparative rate and you're going below $1 million, and there's lots of different reasons for that,
right,
which we can get into.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
And then
these are great.
I think we have one more, I think for,
No,
oh no,
we took
the
out
condo.
we took out the
Okay,
condo,
got you.
or we didn't, I'm not sure.
So we also had ones for condo, just a regular condo and,
There we
oh,
go.
there it is. We skipped over it. On average, condos in 2022, we're going for 827, but now we're seeing a huge savings because they're typically going for around 551. And more recently, I
amazing.
actually saw a 1-bedroom condo in Burlington and it sold for around 500. So that's
Amazing.
the lowest I've seen it,
Yep.
which is really nice. So for a down payment on that, you're saving yourself $55,000.
Amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy.
So, it's interesting because I said to Dan, I said, where are we going to find this big amount of money? We can go start buying more property.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
in 3 to 5 years, prices are going to be going back up
Yeah.
again anyways,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. It's a great time to buy real estate, and
It really
they're
is.
coming down accordingly. And that's what rate increases do, right? They adjust, everything adjusts. So as rates come up, home prices come down. As as home
Yeah.
prices come out, rates are, so it equals each other off.
For sure.
Okay.
Other way.
Yeah.
Recap.
Yeah. Okay, we're done. Okay, I'm just going to jump in and talk a little bit about the mortgage process. And why this is important is because a lot of people are unsure about how everything happens in the background. And it's important as a mortgage agent to talk my clients through the process so that they're aware and understand what's happening and what's expected of them. So the first slide I want to talk about is the pre-qualified versus pre-approval. And I think some of these terms are both of these terms are used interchangeably. And what's important to note about this is that as a mortgage agent, I'm actually doing the pre-qualifying. A lender is doing the pre-approval. So they're actually not interchangeable. I'm pre-qualifying you to get you to the stage where a lender can pre-approve you. So what I do is basically take all of your documents. I look at loan to, your loan to value. I look at your debt income and your income, your debt ratios, your liabilities, and then paint sort of a picture in your mortgage application. But I do that based on real information and real documents that you provided me. So the entire file is basically underwritten at one time. I'm asking for all the documents up front. I'm looking at the entire picture, and then from that picture, I'm looking at what lender is best suited for you. So I'm pre-qualifying you, and then I get you to a lender who's going to give you the pre-approval. So the pre-approval process is fairly simple. It's completing an online mortgage application. Prior to that, we actually speak about what you want to do and what your situation is, whether you're married, whether you have children, what your income is, just basically your general situation. And then the online mortgage application is completed. It's very, very simple. It's very technologically advanced and very easy to complete. And even if you don't know a certain section, we can just skip it and I can fill it in later. From then, it just automatically gives you another email, which enables you to provide me with all of the documents as per what you already said that you were. So basically, it'll be an upload portal that gives you the ability to be confidential. It's not flying into cyberspace. It goes directly into my mortgage app, and it's very easy. You can even take pictures with your phone. So
Nice.
yeah, you don't have to have a scanner or anything. From then on, we get a credit authorization, and then I review your credit score, which is super important. We'll get to that later, and review the calculations, and then continue on with the pre-qualification and pre-approval.
Nicole's been working with one of my clients, and when she had pulled up his credit, there was some issues with his credit score. And what I love is that she just didn't say, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll take a look at this next year. Here's a couple tips and tricks, whatever." And that was it. No, she actually worked with him to get things taken off of his Equifax, and she's very thorough. And I can appreciate, you really do put your 110% in. So thank you.
Yeah, that's super important. Is people don't understand, how to manage their own credit and what that credit score means, and everybody makes mistakes, and credit companies are no different. So when you review your credit, it's really important to go, wait a minute, I paid that, or that's not right, or I wasn't part of that loan. You can always correct them. So in this case of this one client, it was, he didn't realize that something needed to be paid off because he had an account with the same company. So it was just a matter of, it was very, very simple. Let's pay that off. It'll increase your score in a month. So we just work with people to make sure that their credit's up to snuff and continue on with the program.
Amazing.
So, okay, so the type of income and documents required change according to what type of income you have. So you can see here, there's people on salary, there's people that are part-time, there's people with variable income, which can be different types of income. They can work a couple of different jobs, and then self-employed, which is its own category. So the most important thing to note about the type of income and documents acquired are, the more complicated your income is, the more documents that are required. So if I keep asking you for documents, that's just because I keep looking at it and I don't understand it. If I don't understand it and I can't explain it to a lender, there's no lender in the world that will understand it. So letter of employment, pay stub, 2 years history, that's basic for anybody. And then self-employed is its own, and I could do a whole other webinar on BFS clients, so I'll just skip over that. But yes, there's different income for everybody. Okay. So how much do we need for down payment? So most first-time home buyers are looking at a 5% minimum down payment. And that can come from a variety of sources. The 5% purchase price, you can see, I've just detailed like what the minimum down would be for 5%, 10%, 15%, and 20%, according to the home prices. Most homes for first-time home buyers are in the range of 500,000. I think that's a safe bet for, some of Burlington, some of Oakville, some of Hamilton, some of Milton. Like, there's still homes and condos available for that price. And, that's up to Lisa to make that happen. But I definitely know that that's a possibility.
For sure.
Additional expenses that you would expect with a first-time purchase. It's not just the 5% that you're expected to come up with, it's the closing costs. So there's home inspections, appraisals, legal fees, and land transfer tax, possibly moving expenses and ongoing costs that we can't account for. So I just took around an average, an approximate down payment for a $500,000 mortgage or purchase would be $30,600. So you've got your $25,000 down payment at 5%, and then you've got your land transfer tax, your appraisal, things of that nature. We're basically estimating that extra at 1.5% to 2% of the purchase price. So in this case, I would say an estimate, it would be $30,600, and that's cash on hand. That's not something that can be amortized. So really, you're looking at probably a 6% down payment.
Okay.
6.5. So how do we come up with that down payment? Basically, this is what the assets are. So there's cash, there's investments, and there's non-liquid assets that could be contributors to a down payment. So if you've been saving and you can't quite come up with 25,000, 30,000, what have you, we can look at other ways to get that. So we can have a gifted down payment from a family member. We can look at different homebuyer programs that are available for and we can talk about what that looks like. We can look at vehicles that you own. We can look at co-signers, guarantors. There's a whole bunch of different ways to come up with people to get qualified for a mortgage. So it's really important to know that you're kind of not on your own doing this. That's the basics of it.
Well, and again, it's leaning on your lender or mortgage specialist in order to help get you to that, come up with that creative idea.
Exactly. Something that you maybe haven't thought of before.
Exactly.
Other properties can be leveraged. There's all kinds of different ways to get this done. So if you're not sure about something, that's kind of where we come in. I just would quickly wanted to talk about, different applicants and what debts would do to a qualification. So when people are shopping online for rates and they're just looking at, okay, well, I can qualify for 4.99, and why is he getting 5.2, and why can't I qualify for that? Well, here's an example of somebody, two different applicants that, everything being equal, they have the same annual income, they have the same down payment, but applicant 2 doesn't have any debts. They paid their vehicle off, they use their credit card, they have good credit, and then they pay it off. They paid off their line of credit, their student loans are done. So basically, sorry, somebody was just emailing me about trying to get in. So the gist of it is applicant 1 only qualifies for 320,000, and applicant 2 with no debt qualifies for 435,000.
Wow.
And that's a huge difference in purchasing power. So it just goes to show what the different factors go into a mortgage qualification that people kind of don't know about and what's happening in the back end. Okay, so your Beacon score and your credit bureau are something we touched on earlier. Basically, this is the one thing that you can control. So, maybe you are having trouble with your down payment. Maybe you're having trouble with, continuity in your income, other things that you maybe can't control, but your Beacon score, your credit bureau, you can control.
Right.
So improving your score is super important. Basically paying your bills on time, using a low percentage of your available credit. And we can talk about this a little bit more based on your personal situation.
Sure.
But a goal is 680 plus. Okay. So, and basically lenders also have different rates for higher credit score people. Okay. So that's important to know. Oops. What lenders are looking for: stable income, good saving habits, strong credit, buying within your budget, and a marketable property. It kind of makes sense, but it's definitely worth mentioning. Your maximum purchase price is also dependent on everything. These are the debt to income ratios that I'm talking about. Yeah. So the 39% is the most important thing that you need to know. Like it's 39.44 for most lenders. Basically, that's the percentage of that OFSI and the superintendent of housing and government has decided can be allocated to your housing costs. Okay. This is really the meat of the program. Right. What kind of first-time home buyer programs are available for you that you can take advantage of as a first-time home buyer to get yourself into the market? So the first one I'm going to touch on is the first-time home buyer incentive. Basically, that's a shared equity program with the government of Canada. Then there's the tax-free home savings account. Many of you probably haven't heard of that because that is starting April 1st. So that's awesome. Yep. The home buyers plan is an RSP plan. Most of you have heard of that. I'll talk about that. Then we have the HST new housing rebate. That's if you buy a new build. And then the first time home buyers grant. So the first time home buyer incentive is basically a shared equity mortgage with the government through CMHC. If you come up with 5%, they will come up with a further 5% of your purchase price, which basically, I mean, there's some criteria, but that enables your mortgage to be less, which enables your monthly payment to be less. So it's a little bit easier to manage that mortgage payment. Right. It's basically a way to manage your mortgage payment without increasing your down payment.
What would your income bracket have to be for that?
So it's basically you need to be less than 120,000. And so there's some qualifications to that, and we can talk about that if that's something that interests you. This is basically a case study of what would happen for a $502,000 purchase using this program. So the down payment, if you were coming up with your own, would be $30,000, but with the shared equity program, it would be $55,000. That mortgage amount gets lowered from $490 to $460. The interest then therefore lowers from $252 to $236. Therefore, your monthly mortgage basically payment is lowered. So it's a shared equity mortgage. That's one program. The first home buyer savings account is a brand new program that's going to be available April 1st. And this is kind of exciting for first time home buyers because it's a combination of sort of a TFSA and savings account, except unlike the TFSA, it's a lifetime ability to save $40,000 tax-free, and you can roll over contributions. You can also contribute up to 8,000 as opposed to 6,000. So that's starting April 1st, and you can contribute the full amount in 2023, even though that program has started this year. The home buyers plan, I think a lot of people know about. It's the ability to utilize your RRSPs. So RRSPs enable you to save taxes when on your income taxes. So people are utilizing RRSPs to save taxes, but then you can also take them out as a first-time home buyer and utilize them for down payment. So each home buyer can also use that.
This is actually a really great program.
Awesome. So you're getting kind of a double-ended benefit to that. So you won't pay tax on the withdrawal for a first-time home buyer, first-time home, and you have 15 years to pay that back. So that's an awesome way. Well, it'll charge you interest, right? They'll use it probably in that 1 year.
So what happens?
So what happens is you'll probably have to take that as income, any amount that you haven't paid, right? So there's really huge incentives to paying it back. But 15 years is a long time,
it is,
right?
yeah.
Especially if that 35,000 is split between the two borrowers, right? So really, you're only paying back to half of that, right? The land transfer tax rebate is another huge one. So that enables you for first-time home buyers to receive the land transfer tax refund of up to $4,000. So let's say using, this one says 368, but on a $500,000 purchase outside of Toronto, you're looking at land transfer tax of about $7,000. So $4,000 brings that down to like $3,000. It's a huge savings. So that's also a benefit. I'm going to skip over fixed rate and variable rate because, we just don't have time for that. And
we'd like to, and we want to give you guys an opportunity to ask some questions too.
Exactly. That used to be cut and dry, and I used to be a huge fan of variable, but right now, for the first time in a really long time, the fixed rate is actually lower than the variable rate. So we'll just skip over that for now. Talk about that later. We really touched on a lot of this, what is a mortgage agent and what I do. So I don't need to really touch base on this again. I can do more than the bank does. That's basically the gist of it. Not to slag banks, but.
Well, I you know what, I went into Scotia not too long ago, and even the Scotia rep there told me you're better off dealing with your mortgage broker,
right,
which was quite interesting. So.
Right. And you know what, like bankers and first, banks have their benefits. Basically, they have their lending programs, they have their fees, they have their policies, but it's only them, themselves. It's basically going to an ice cream shop and they only have chocolate. Yeah. So if you want lots of flavors, you go to Baskin Robbins. If you want only chocolate, you go to Mr. and Mrs. Chocolate Ice Cream Store. Yeah. That's the gist of it. I work with over 52 lenders, so there's always something for everybody, and it's basically taking the story and selling it to a lender and getting it done. Okay. I do have an app which I can touch on later, and that basically is like for on-the-go calculations. It's really great when you're looking at homes and you just want a quick calculation to go, okay, is this even in my wheelhouse? Can I afford it? What are the property taxes here? Things like that. So I can always share that with you at a future date. And you know what? We can even email it out with the video 100%. At the end. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I guess that's really important to talk about, is that this, even though we're skipping through a few things, this is being recorded, and we can also email it. We can email the recording, and we can also email the actual presentation. So for sure, to touch base on a few of the things at your leisure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for attending. I know we've skipped through a lot of this, and I really apologize for that. But
and you're going to have a test at the end of this.
Yeah. I hope we've answered some of your questions on the first-time homebuyer program available to you. Like the gist of the presentation is that through a really seasoned realtor like Lisa and a person like myself, there's always ways to get into the market, and there's no reason to be scared about being an individual or not having enough down payment or not having your credit up to snuff. Like we can work with all of these barriers to entry into the home market.
For sure. Is there anybody that had any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself or you can answer it sort of in the chat. I think you can probably answer it in the chat. Some of you have already been working with, and so some of the stuff that you already know, and I know that I've sort of done a really, deep dive into some of things that maybe you don't particularly care about, such as like, your debt ratios and things like that. That all happens in the background. And that's the things that I, kind of need to know about. But it's sort of nice to know what, is happening. So I like to educate people and keep them, informed on what's happening.
And it's funny, I had a client who was, sort of on the fence of what she could purchase or not. And what we decided to do is for her to continue renting because her purchasing power was that much less because of, her situation. And I said, it's not even a bad thing to, even as your first time purchase, buy a rental property. And we put a renter in there. And because I've done it for myself and for my investor clients, that was another option too. So it's kind of just like thinking outside the box, because sometimes we get this tunnel vision because, you're not in real estate and you don't do it every day. But we see so many different scenarios that, even if you have a question or don't ever think that a question is silly or stupid, because we can actually help you walk through different scenarios and help you reach those real estate goals or financial goals. So
yeah, exactly.
Either way, we really want to thank you for coming out. Oh, can you speak to the stress test?
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but I have heard a bit about. Hi. I've heard about this first time home buyer stress test. I really don't know a lot about it. Is that something that is worked out in the pre-approval process, or?
Yes, I can speak to that. So the B20 stress test came into effect a couple of years ago, and it was basically to make sure that Canadians could withstand stresses to the mortgage rates and things of that nature should the market fluctuate, very similar to where we find ourselves now. So basically, we're going to be qualifying you on the rate that there is now plus 2%, creating a bubble. So when I qualify you, I'm qualifying you at the rate plus 2%. You actually have to qualify for more than what you're actually taking, and that is everybody. So that's not just first-time home buyers, that's everybody. So that happens kind of in the background, but it's basically the qualification type is 2% higher than the rate that I can get you. That's to make sure that you can withstand the market fluctuations.
Does that make sense, Katrina?
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you. I just had this idea in my head that it was just for first-time home buyers. So thank you for clearing that up, because I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for everybody, which, it's happening in the background and nothing that you could need to worry about. But one other thing I wanted to address really quickly is I think that people think that there's an obligation once you start working with a real estate agent or mortgage agent like myself. There is no, there's no obligation. We can run numbers, we can talk about scenarios, and if you want to sit on it for 6 months, 3 months, you want to call me back in 6 months and I go, hey, how's everything going? There's no obligation, and you don't pay me. The lenders pay me. I don't have an obligation to work with a certain lender, and whatever works for you and whatever situation and product is best for you is best for you. So there's no obligation and you don't pay me.